This is really a great introduction about stress and what it really means to be under stress. First of all, what is the definition of stress? Well, like I say, we know it when we see it, right? We know it when we feel it. But the example of stress is usually when there is a sense of a cumulative or a challenging pressure that affects a particular system, be it your body or, say, a bridge or anything like that. There's an unexpected or at least an additional pressure that's somehow brought to bear here. When we're talking about stress, it's really important that we start to distinguish between the stressor, that which causes or what we perceive to cause stress, and the stress itself. A lot of times there's some confusion about the word stress because we think of it that when we use the word stress, typically we thought this is like a consequence of a stressor. In other words, like there's an exam coming up. We have an exam coming up, and so we think, oh, that exam is really creating a lot of stress for me. No, the exam is the stressor. The stress that's created for you is the stress you create inside of you by your response to the stressor. So I think this is a key thing with yogic technology, is that there are always stressors. There always will be stressors. In fact, there need to be stressors, and we cannot control or eliminate stressors, but we can control or choose to encounter the stressor in a way that can be healthy or not so destructive. So this is our choice as yogis, is that how are we going to hold this internally? The external is there. That's a given. It's there. The internal part is what is up to us. And then also the necessity of stressors, absolute necessity to have stress. There is something we call positive stress by our own interpretation. Like a positive stress could be, I don't know, getting married. Hopefully it's positive, but there's a lot of stress around getting married. All the details, family matters, things go on like that. So that's stress. It's a positive stressor, but you still are accumulating stress from that positive situation. Then some people say, well, it'd be best all not to have any stress. No stress, no problem. Without stress, though, you have a different set of problems. You have lack of purpose, lack of a challenge, dejection, depression. Stress is actually what causes us to change and grow. Without stress, there would be no change in your life. Strange to think. Not without a stressor, let's be more clear about it. Without a stressor, there'd be no change in your life. Where we live here in Austin, there's fruit trees that come out in the summer and have a great amount of fruit, which is great. And we love that. But we had one year where it was just so cold and so difficult, so much stress from the cold on the trees, they couldn't produce fruit. Next year, we had twice as much fruit as we'd ever have, because that stressor of the cold, the weather on the tree, which caused it to go into a state of response, said, let's make a lot of fruit. It's hard times. So a lot of times when we think about the stressors in our lives, a lot of times they're actually enabling us to produce more fruit, because it's that stress, we rise to the challenge, we rise to the occasion, and we take the technology of change and transformation, yoga, and ride that wave of that stressor. That's how we cope with it. So fundamentally, what we're trying to do in this course and with our friends and family, try to understand the psychological guides, how we cope with stress, because we won't eliminate it. We can only change the relationship that we have to it as well. Guru Karam, some observations about this idea of positive stress, negative stress, the necessity of stress.
One of the things that I do in my life is I do past life regression for people, and I have worked personally in that life between lives state. And that's a great place, but damn, we keep coming back here. But why do we keep coming back here? So we can experience stress so that we can learn and grow. So they say even angels long for this human experience because you have the experience of polarity. Well, that polarity comes from the stressors in our lives and how we react to them. You got to have it. That's what you're here for.
Well, I was just thinking about Kundalini Yoga, how we intentionally invite stressors into our practice. If you're doing stretch pose, the body is feeling a stressor. Stretch pose, oh my gosh. Take a cold shower, the body is having a stressor. But the stressor can make us stronger. And also the fact that we actually invite it, engage it, and even welcome it, like jumping into that cold pool, like, yeah, I'm consciously doing this. It gives us a power over the stressor that we could not otherwise have, that we invite it. I think it's the problem to be solved, the resistance to be overcome, the challenge to be achieved. So it's a really powerful way to live. Well, now where it becomes a problem is that where it starts to accumulate, or we have like what they call the unmanaged stress load, where the stressors are creating these stress responses that after a while we can't really manage successfully with our current state of health or our understanding or whatever. And that's where we start to have real problems with the chronic load of stress. This is where a lot of the illnesses start to develop. My wife and I were talking one day about how the healing process, the thing that really enables healing process to really succeed is being able to reduce that level of chronic stress. When you're under stress, healing occurs more slowly. So when there's a certain level of chronic stress load, everything starts to cascade. It starts to go downhill very quickly. Your health starts to deteriorate very quickly, which makes it more stressful because now you don't have the health to respond to it. It starts to affect your long-term relationships. So over time, what we're trying to do is to anticipate or actually remove the consequence or the happening of what we call the chronic stress.
What you're doing is creating structures in your life where you're not allowing that load to build, right? You build resilience in yourself through yoga, through breathing, through attitude, and you're structuring your life in a way that you have ways to meet that stress load and digest it without it becoming, it's like laundry, right? If you let your laundry build up, you've got no clothes, there's a big stinky pile somewhere in your house, and it takes you a long time to deal with it, right? It'll take you a day or two to work through that pile of laundry. But if you hit it on a weekly basis, or you have a schedule and you just do the laundry, then it gets done and it's not creating this big stinky pile that's stressing you out.
Well, yeah, the stress of not having clean underwear is a huge stressor. But truly, but I think too, like with acute stress is something that's short-term, a well-defined stressor. Like taking the exam, something like that. Getting to the store before it closes. That's an acute stressor. It happens. It goes away over time. But the real problem comes from this unmanaged chronic stress. Well, a really dissatisfying job situation where you have a horrible boss or terrible colleagues or just a very bad work environment, day in, day out, day in, day out. That's chronic, and that unless you're really proactive, that's going to start to accumulate over time. An unhappy relationship. Every day you're with this person you're having problems with. It's causing you all difficulties. Every day, day in, day out, over a number of months or years. Or every day is continual reaction to attack and war. It's chronic now. It's not acute. It's a chronic condition. It's accumulating. So this idea of understanding how does chronic stress occur so that we can be more proactive with short-circuiting it so it doesn't become chronic. And then what techniques can we use to start to maybe unravel or unpack that chronic stress response and to have that resilience to come back, because there's always stress. We always need to come back to be resilient.